So we're going to move on here. What we just did with the powder and the pictures, that's pretty relatively safe. I mean, you don't want to, obviously because of the dirtiness, you need to be careful with that. But we're going to do some chemical stuff now. And I need to really kind of just, this isn't stuff that you would do at your home. Don't try any of the stuff that I'm going to be showing you. I'm going to start off with the thing that we call nihydrin. Now, I started off by saying that when we put something down, when we touch something, we put a fingerprint down, and most of it is water and that goes away. But there are some things that are left. And it's hard for maybe this powder to react with some of those things that are left. Hydrin's an interesting chemical because you put it on whatever and it's usually a porous surface. This means like paper, okay? So usually you use this like with paper, and you can either put it directly on there or spray it, and most of the time we will let this just bake itself for 36 hours and the prints will come out very, very nicely. This is a print I did right before you got here, and I sped up the process using actual heat. So what I will get from my students, and I was even getting this from some police officers when they would lift prints, say they only had a little bit of a fingerprint. And they're like, is this a usable fingerprint? And I would say, yes it is, because, and that's what a lot of people don't, this is a picture of a very, 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 very small portion of a fingerprint. But inside here, there's so many points that we can say that this is a person's individual fingerprint, such as this right here. We call these bifurcations. We even go in and we can count the pores if we get a good enough something like that. We measure the distance in between the lines here. So just a very, very bit of a print on there. Now, if I'm in a lab, I'll do what we call is iodine crystals, and it's just a little bit quicker way of doing this process. And you just put the crystals right on there. See how quickly the prints started showing up on us. There's somebody around that's doing that for you.
So with technology and DNA, are fingerprints kind of old technology, or are they still important?
Oh, they're still very, very important, because here's the, and this is the reason why. We have a thing that a big nationwide, and even almost a worldwide computer system of anybody that's ever been fingerprinted. They're put into this computer. Now, it's just not people who have been arrested that get fingerprinted. You can get fingerprinted for your job, if you go into the military. There's a lot of different reasons why people will get fingerprinted, and they're even put into this system. Okay, and you talked about DNA. We have that for fingerprints. We don't have that for DNA, which means that if somebody was fingerprinted and they committed a fingerprint in Nebraska, they committed a crime in California, and we found their fingerprint, we can connect them. But we can't do that with DNA. And there's a lot of reasons why. The thing, though, is it's still important to find the fingerprint, because as I touch here and I leave a fingerprint, what else am I leaving? DNA. And DNA is just as exact as a fingerprint is to a person.
We just don't have that big database.
We just don't have a big database. But if you can find a match for that DNA, which then is kind of neat, because we'll go to this next thing, which it's a super glue, all right? And there's a fancy name for this. It's called cyanoacrylate, but it's super glue. It's all it is, and you can see the super glue residue that's been left here. And this is a very simple method. Again, kids, don't do this at home. Okay, super glue is toxic. Put them in the heating elements in here. Now, these things here, they come in all different shapes and sizes, but they all do the same thing.
Mhm.
They all heat up the super glue a little bit, which causes gas. And then what happens is, as that super glue is in gas form, it's like little teeny tiny bits of plastic floating in the air. It's the best way to explain it. And then those plastics, as they come down, they land on your fingerprint and they adhere to it. All right? Now the neat thing about a super glue print is that it's stuck there. It's not going to go anywhere. So we can photograph it, we can powder it, we can do a lot of different things. Now, one thing that you said about DNA, this is kind of neat, is when we super glue, they've been able to actually get the DNA from underneath the super glue. I mean, it's just, science is doing some really, really neat things lately, but I really like super gluing. The last one I'm going to show you today, and this is kind of interesting, is that you touch something. Yeah, you're leaving, and it's sticky though. All right, and so it's not something that we can take a powder and go, how are we gonna make this powder stick to it, because it's going to stick to everything. So what they did is they came up with a thing that is basically like liquid. The best way to explain it is like a liquid powder. Okay, and it's, you wouldn't think about doing this with anything else, but we call it wet wash, is what it's called. There's a lot of different names for it, sticky side powder. And it's pretty simple, and hopefully I left some prints on here, I can't remember. And I'm just going to paint that on there. Simple as that. Now you can hear I already got the water going. And then I'm just going to run it. Yep. Wash it off. And as you can see, the powder is adhering to the fingerprint. So one last thing I'd like to show is, I talked a little bit about light. We'll use all those colors of a rainbow to try to find different things. Because there are different things that light up under different colors. Like blue, there are certain things that if I had my hand, if I put something down here or some type of fluid or whatever, it would light up. Bones light up actually under a certain color. And so what we'll use is what we call the light spectrum to do that. One of the easiest ones that is to start off with is the little handheld one. Are you okay with this? And so an investigator will go in and they'll just start in on a room looking around, and you can see how much that lights up for us. And when I'm teaching this to my students, I actually teach them how to search a room and everything. So I'll put little things around the room that they have to find using alternative light. And this is just a good how we teach them to search. But this is like more of a purple light than a blue light. Now this sink has been cleaned a lot, okay? But if you can just see that everything that's around that sink, it's not as clean as you would think. All right, use alternative lights to find fingerprints, fluids, all different types of things. And the light, as you can see, is what I'm doing right now is I'm just going through the different colors that you might see in a rainbow. And so what I would do here is I would put some type of evidence down here, and I would start going through the different lights to show and brighten up some evidence that our eyes may not be able to see, which is normal room light, but as soon as you put a different type of light on there, then our eyes are able to see them. So that's just one way that we can use different colors of lights to find evidence, fingerprints, and those types of things.